everyone. Welcome to another edition of Final Four Rewind. I'm Bill Rowland. This is brought to you by Jim McKay Chevrolet. And today we're going to talk about the Elite Eight game against UConn that sent the Patriots to the Final Four. And joining us today, we have the three seniors from that team, Lamar Butler, Jai Lewis, and Tony Skinn. Lamar, I'll start with you. You guys had come off the victory against Wichita State, and on Saturday you had to walk through a practice. You also had to meet with the throngs of media that were there. You guys were able to answer just about every question they had about UConn. UConn didn't really know much about you guys. What was the mindset when you saw that they really didn't know much about your team?
Disrespect. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember I was sitting in the room. I want to say it was Tim or Gabe. He started sending a text to the team like, yo, turn on the news. And we turned on the news and like they didn't know our names. They didn't know our conference, mascot. And it's like, we play them tomorrow. So it was just like, I remember looking at Shaq. We sitting in the hotel room. He was like, all right, we're going to show them, make them remember our names after this game. So that was like a unified feeling throughout the team, just the disrespect.
Tony, how about it? You were one of the guys that talked about it in the post game after you beat UConn that you said, you know what, they didn't know anything about us, but they know now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for us, it was, one of those things where once we got rolling, obviously through those first two games with North Carolina and Michigan State, I don't think that for us as competitors, it didn't matter who we played. And it really came down to probably just the preparation. We were prepared, not saying that they weren't. But for us, it was less pressure. And we just had the mindset that it didn't matter who we were playing at that point. We were having fun and we just knew we were going to compete.
Jai, they had a front line of guys that they could rotate in that were all taller than you and Will and Sammy and everybody else in the front line. Yet you guys were able to out-rebound them. Talk about the ability of you and Will just being able to clear out space against those big guys of UConn.
I think it just comes down to us knowing it's a different type of game that me and Will play. We play below the basket. Will could dunk every once in a while, but we definitely play below the basket. So that's a different type of game. Not everybody can really play that game or understand that type of game. So, we just try to find our angles, and we just got busy.
In the first half, you guys took a 29-28 lead, and then they went on a 15-2 run to stretch it out. Fowler ends up going to the basket at the very end of the half, and he gets the and one call. That was a huge momentum swing because if that's a charge, you guys go in down 12 at halftime. Instead, it's under 10. And I know coaches talk about this all the time, and Tony, you could probably talk about this as well. Under 10 going into halftime is a lot different than over 10, wouldn't you say? That was a pretty big moment in that first half.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a game of possessions, and 10 can easily turn to 20. So just from a momentum switch, that was a huge bucket for us to go back into that locker room and just kind of regroup and get back on the same page as, when we were at North Carolina, we were down 16. And if you remember that, I think it was, I don't know if it was a free throw that I made or Lamar made a free throw. That was the game changing, in my opinion, turning that game, because that game could have got ugly. So the UConn game and, following ending the half like that definitely was reminiscent of that as well.
Lamar, what was the conversation like at halftime? Do you remember you guys going in again? You had a brief lead in the first half, but you find yourself down 9 to the number one team in the country.
No panic. Just stay with it. That's honestly what it was. Just stay with it. No transition points with the game plan. No easy baskets. And we just had to outscore them because they were such a talented team. But it was nothing really changed. I just think we just became more aggressive on both ends of the floor. Start the second half, and that pretty much changed the game for us.
Jai, a lot of it in the second half when you guys made their run, you could see them start to argue with themselves. Do you recall the conversations? Yeah. And what was your reaction like when you heard them kind of getting on each other?
I just knew they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure it out. And once they started arguing, I think we knew that we had them in the bag. We knew that we knew we could dominate them at that particular part of the game, down on the block. And then Will just
You guys hit 6 out of 7, I think it was, from behind the arc in the second half, including 6 straight. Fowler hit a big one. Lamar, you hit the one in the corner that's kind of an iconic one when you got fouled as well. Talk to me about when you guys got hot, what the conversation was with your team, knowing that you got back into it and were able to take a lead at 52-51.
We're going to win.
Yeah, go ahead, Lamar.
Yeah, we're going to win. Like, the conversation never really changed. Like, the focus, it was they made shots in the first half. They went on their run. Now it's our turn. And then, like Josh said, they started arguing. I don't know if we can repeat some of the stuff that they said. You just saw them becoming fractured as a team, and we stayed together, and we actually became tighter on the floor. And that was our strength, and that was their weakness, actually. They didn't really have a weakness per se as far as skill set. Their weakness, they weren't a team, and we were. And we just exploited the second half. So when the game got tight, we showed our togetherness, and they didn't.
Yeah, I remember, obviously it was a moment where there was no substitutions, and we literally ran the same play for a large stretch of that, and they couldn't stop it. When you have guys, three, just throw the ball inside the job, throw the ball at will, and just go to work. And obviously they did their part in just making the right play. And we just went to work offensively from that. They just had no answers for it.
Jack, talk to me about that play number 3. They refused to front you and Will. I guess, again, going back to the size thing, they figured you could catch the ball in the post and they'd be able to block shots or at least keep you guys from being able to get to the rim. But again, playing behind you didn't work. You guys were successful with it.
Yeah, they absolutely didn't make any adjustments to that play. I remember one time where I forget who I was posting up, but they had Will's man so far in the lane that Will was wide open underneath the basket. And when I threw the ball to Will, I threw a bad pass. But we came right back down and ran the same play.
The same thing.
Same thing, and it was in the same exact spot. And I was able to throw a better pass, and Will got an easy layup.
Yeah. It was Hilton and boom.
So you go through it, Tony, you talked about it. You guys didn't sub the last 10:57 of the second half and all 5 minutes of overtime, which was interesting because Gabe had been such a big part of the run during the NCAA tournament, but it was just you 5 that went to work. Was there any time that you felt fatigued or tired, or you looked at the bench thinking, man, somebody needs to give me a breather, or was enough time because of all the timeouts and the longer stretch of TV timeouts in the NCAA tournament that you guys were able to stay fresh?
Yeah, I don't know about Ja and Lamar, but I don't think I was tired for 1 second in that game. I don't think it made a difference because at the end of the day, as competitors, you know that everybody else is tired and you just want to finish that game. You want to be the guy that finishes out the game. So I didn't look over at Coach L at all. I didn't want to make any type of eye contact.
Us coming out of the timeout, he did make a statement. It was like, look, I'm not making no subs.
Yeah, he did say that.
So the fact that he gave us that type of information, it kind of, let us know, like, we got to go out here and make smarter plays, make the right play, and play together.
Yeah.
So coming down the stretch, unfortunately, a couple of missed free throws late, and they're able to hit the 3. Tony, you had
those two.
We're going to get the guy missing too. Don't worry about it, Tony. You don't have to feel bad. But they hit the 3 to tie the game and to go into overtime. And you look at the layup to go to overtime. You look at that last possession. That ball bounced on the rim 3-4 times. At any moment were you guys thinking this thing is not going in and we've got this, or was it just kind of like a sinking feeling because they had pushed the game to overtime? Lamar, I'll start with you.
And that definitely wasn't a sinking feeling. We talked about it before in the previous. There was no doubt in that team. It was a super confident team. And I said it last time, Shaq, those young guys were super confident. So it was no doubt. It was just like Coach said, we had another 5 minutes to play. We just didn't close out the game, fellas, on the free throw line. So we gave them a chance to come back, and that's what happened. But, yeah, that was it.
Tony, what about that free throw?
Oh, man, the free throw. Thanks for reminding me again. It made for a better storyline. If you look at that clip, man, that ball was halfway down the rim.
Yeah.
And somehow it came back. I just remember my walk back to the bench after I think it was Denham Brown made the reverse layup. It was probably the longest walk back to the bench because I was like, man, I just let the team down. Now we got to go to war with these dudes for another 5 minutes. But again, we were the better team that night. I don't think if it would have been 50 minutes or 2 OTs, it would have been the same outcome.
So you get to the overtime, and probably the iconic shot, Fowler and Campbell hits the fadeaway over Rudy Gay to put you guys up 4. And then again, it's the parade to the free throw line. And Jai, this time, this one's on you when they hit them. But they missed the 3 at the end of the game. So, Jai, when you're there at the line, you were a decent free throw shooter in your time. Were you thinking about it like this is the one to ice it away, or was it just kind of go through the same routine and it just happened not to go down?
Man, I pretty much went through my same routine. I made the first free throw, so I wasn't even concerned about me even missing the free throw. I'm just going up there doing my normal routine, and I felt like mine went in and came right back out also.
So they come down. Denham Brown fires up the three. It ends up being long. Lamar, you end up grabbing the rebound there at the end, right there on the far side from all the way in the corner from the bench. And I just remember you kind of standing there and everybody swamped you and Jai and Tony and everything. What was that moment like for holding that rebound at the very end after they missed the three?
Secure the rebound was once I saw him dribbling the ball, I knew he wasn't going to pass it. So I was just, if it goes long, I'm grabbing rebound so they can't get offensive rebound. But it's funny, we went on the scores table. Tony was the ringleader. And, Coach L was very strict about some stuff. So I saw Tony, I was waiting for somebody to do something like, can we hop on the table right here? Coach L was, like I said, kind of funny about that stuff. So I waited for somebody else to do it first. And Tony jumped up there. So I was like, all right, it must be cool because everybody else is doing it. So that's why I jumped late. But that was pretty much my train of thought in the game. Just secure that weak side and time to celebrate.
Tony, how about it? You were obviously on the floor right there when Brown shot the three. From your view, could you tell it was long, or did you think it was going down?
I mean, I remember just breathing a sigh of relief when Ja made the first free throw, just knowing that if they were gonna take us to another 5 minutes, they couldn't beat us. But just seeing the ball roll off the rim, it was just a surreal, elating feeling when you think about all the things that we have been through as a group for 3 weeks, and knowing this was as close as the Patriots Center as it gets, and knowing that we had all that type of support, man. I didn't think twice to jump on that bleachers because I saw the fans. We wouldn't have gotten that win without that atmosphere. So for me, it was just about showing the love to the people that came out to support us.
Yeah, talk to me about that. You got 18,000 people there at what was at that time called the Verizon Center. Probably 17,000 of them were cheering for Mason, or at least pulling for you guys because you were the underdog. How much of a lift was that for the entire game, and especially in the second half coming down the stretch?
I felt real comfortable. I felt like we were really at the Patriots Center. All our fans were there. We had just that extra support that gave us that 6 men on the court to help us make it through the game. The one interesting part about the game to me was, I think it was overtime and Lamar was at the free throw line. And I think it was me and Tony in the back with Denham Brown. And me and Denham Brown was going back and forth because about the statement they saying that they didn't know who we were and all that. And me and Denham Brown was going back and forth. And I kept asking him, you don't know who we are now? Well, you don't know who we are? You still don't know who we are? Tony had to back me up off Denham Brown a little bit.
Yeah, how was that, guys? I mean, that's interesting, Jai. I know that you guys have talked about them talking with each other and arguing, but how much of it during that game when you're coming back or you're taking the lead, did you remind them of, hey, you guys didn't know. You disrespected us yesterday in the press conference. We're here now. What do you think? Was there a lot of that conversation going on during the game?
I wouldn't say there was. I think we made that statement by our play and our presence on the court. That was the only time I had any talking, any interactions with them.
Nah, they. Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
I was getting ready to say I remember a little banter back and forth with Rashad Anderson.
Yeah, right.
He was the I guess you could say the voice, the trash talking voice for them.
He was.
But I just remember us being so locked in. But there came a stretch where he kind of got quiet, and I might have said something to him, and he just kind of gave me that look. I felt like that was a key point in the game that I knew that we took care of business.
Lamar, how about it? You like to do a little conversation on the court at times. Do you have any conversations with those guys?
A little.
I'll say. I'll say to start the game, because I know Ja was battling 2 ankle sprains. So for me personally, I was like, I wanted to see how Ja was going to match up with their front court. And I remember it was like maybe like the first couple minutes of the game, I threw an entry pass. Ja got the and one on Josh Boone, and Ja started talking trash. So I was like, okay, Ja is here. So. And when Ja gets to talking trash, I feed off of that. I wasn't the most talkative guy to the opponent. I may be talking to myself, but that game, Josh started it. I did have some conversation with Rashad. It wasn't nothing disrespectful. I was just like, there's no heroics this game. Like stuff like that. But it was nothing like, back and forth. He was just like, yeah, all right. But nothing out of the ordinary. I would say they, like you said, they had the most trash talk among the team. Something that fans may not know is it was a point in the game where Rudy Gay came off of a pin down. He hit a shot and he banged his chest. As I was jogging up the floor, he yelled to Marcus Williams, pass me the mother effing ball. He never touched the ball again. It was like maybe 7 or 8 minutes left in the game, I want to say. If you go back and watch, he never touched the ball again.
Lamar, man, you must have watched that game like 20 times, man. No. How you had this type of memory, man?
Because that game, I remember that game, and it was like when he said that, I was like, dang, he really didn't touch the ball after that.
Now that you say that, I definitely do remember Marcus Williams and Rudy Gay kind of
Rudy Gay getting into
it.
Yeah.
I remember.
Me and Rashad talked about it at Portsmouth. I was like, yo, what was up with them two? Because they argued on the game. He was like, dog, they hated each other. But that point stood out to me because I remember after that, he never touched the ball because of that argument.
So you guys win the game. You get on the bus after you cut down the nets and everything else, and you come back to the Patriot Center. And that was a wild celebration. There was as many people there celebrating that as there probably was at some of the home games you had during your career. What was that like to walk into that atmosphere when you've got, your student body, teachers, faculty, everybody just there surrounding you? Tony, I'll start with you. What do you remember about that trip back to the Patriot Center?
I just want to go back to the point you just made about us cutting the nets.
Sure.
For the record, I'm mad at y'all two for letting me go first. Because to this day, I didn't know what size net you're supposed to cut.
Yeah, me
because everybody else has to follow me. So I'm like, you know what? Let me cut my net pieces like this big. So I guess
you got the biggest piece.
Yeah, I don't know, but it wasn't me. I got the smallest piece.
It wasn't me.
About that.
Hey, Bill, it wasn't me.
I got the net on the other end.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, all right. That's what it was? Okay.
I'm sorry, Bill, man. I had to throw that in there.
No, that's
what
fine.
What was your question again?
I had to get my piece of that from Jai's big one that he had at the Patriots that came up. And he said, yeah, go ahead, cut a piece off. So that's where I got mine from. But just talk about that atmosphere when you guys got back to the arena here on campus.
Man, we felt like, I felt personally like a rock star, man. Just, having the opportunity to be a part of something like that, you work at it, every day that you come and show up to work, show up for practice. We talked about it as teammates, but to have it to come into fruition and just to see the support. And I've said it before, man, we know that George Mason is a large student body, 30,000 plus students, but you don't feel that when you're on campus. But when we came back after the Final Four, it felt like it was 30, 40,000 people that went to the university. And I just remember it was just all out melee, man. I wish we had social media back then because we'd all have like 2 million followers, but it was unreal on campus, man.
Lamar, how about it? You get there. I'm sure, people were taking as many pictures as they could and everybody was stopping you and wanted to say hi and everything else. What was that feeling like? Did you ever expect that it was going to be that way when you got here as a freshman to your senior year and suddenly you've got 5,000, 6,000 people in an arena, not even for a game, just to see you guys walk in and to celebrate with you?
Right. I probably got more tenure than most of these guys because I was here because of Terrence. I was around since my sophomore year, so I saw the fan base grow since, high school. But it just took me back to my freshman year when we were passing out flyers for people to come to the game. You know what I mean? And then you go fast forward to 2006 and the arena's packed to capacity because we went to the Final Four. It's just a surreal feeling just to know that we had a chance or opportunity to put the school and put the basketball program on the map like never before. We made history. It's just a surreal feeling just walking into that arena and seeing the support that we had. And we being able to share it personally with the fans. Like we walked around. It wasn't like we just us on display. Like we really interacted, thanked them for the support because it really was. We really did need that support to get what we were.
Jai, how about it from that entire run? What 1 or 2 moments really stick out for you from the very beginning, that game against Michigan State, all the way through to the celebration there at the Patriot Center? Are there 1 or 2 moments that you always look back on and say, I'll never forget because it was so special?
For me, it's just the whole experience. I can't just pick out one. If I had to, I'd probably say definitely. The biggest thing is, and the funniest thing is Lamar arguing with me on the bus when we had to come off after we won after UConn because he wanted to carry the trophy.
I did. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But you carried it, so you want to argue, obviously.
Well, guys, this has been awesome, and all the way through from Michigan State all the way through this UConn game, getting to relive the memories with you guys has been fantastic. We thank you for your time, and again, really thank you for what was a remarkable and special 3-week run in this university's history as far as the men's basketball program goes. So again, congratulations. I can't believe it's been 15 years. Time flies. You guys all still look great. Like you could go out there at least maybe give 10, 15 minutes. I don't know if anybody's putting 40 minutes out there on the night. But thanks again for the time, guys, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Bill. Thanks for having me on.